Bobby Mills, 1,000-yard guy for theindependent.com. We have a special version of In the Hoops because we're going to talk about the Heartland Hoops Classic. Coach Gavers is here to add things. He's been through a lot of them, and we just have the man here, the entrepreneur of the city of Grand Island, Coach Tino Martinez. Welcome again, gentlemen, and I'd like to congratulate you on behalf of myself, Coach, and everybody out there for having this be the 9th season for this classic. That is incredible. How many have come and gone, even in a single season? So we're going to find out why it's successful here. And I'm going to have to put on my glasses and do it. No, and this is the 9th year.
Yes.
So originally, what made you decide to take on this? This is a pretty big project, and risks involved.
There are some risks. Coach Gavers and I, it was our whole staff. We all go down to that Omaha Quest Center thing.
Yeah. Was that okay?
We all, Coach Rob was there. We all go down to Omaha when they had I think they called it the Quest Center Shootout, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think there was Mont Christian, and we saw Harlan, Iowa lose their winning streak, I think, that day at Omaha Scott. So, we're just sitting up there in the crowd, and, we have our new Heartland Event Center in Grand Island. And I was like, it'd be awesome to do one of these things in Grand Island. Never really thought much more about it. Well, we get home, I talk with the event center, and it's something they want to maybe try to make happen. And so, we're signing game contracts for that first year, and we don't even have basketball for the arena yet. So
I remember that. Where are we going to play?
Scoreboard or anything. So, so we got game contracts getting signed. And obviously Tom Dinsdale stepped up and purchased the floor for the arena out there and everything. And it's been great every year since. It's a phenomenal venue for something like that. It's really a first-class arena. The amenities are at a high level for the patrons, the teams and everything. The locker rooms are great, and so it's just been a great thing. I think it works in a community like ours because of the sports people we have in our area. It's been well attended every year and well supported by people, and so without that types of things, that's why you see a lot of these things die, because of the risks that are involved with them. But we've been fortunate that we've had some really good games, and we've had a lot of community support.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, you have to have a place to play, first of all. Mm-hmm. But I think that the event center has a feel of a big arena like an Omaha or a Lincoln thing. And it's right in the middle of the state. How tough is it to pull something off knowing you have to get teams in advance? I mean, you can kind of know who's coming up that's going to be pretty good, but you don't really know. And how many years in advance do you get teams to come out?
Well, it's usually just,
like
like right now we're doing, working on some things for next year. So it's about a year and a half in advance. You kind of know, you look like, if you went to the state tournament last year, you knew Newman had about everybody back, and you knew Winnebago was going to be good again.
Yeah.
Omaha South had almost everybody back, and we're getting a Queco Rope back who didn't play a year ago.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a little bit of predictive thinking, so to speak, but I mean, it's, when you look at the rosters, you know who's going to be pretty good a year from now, and you try to just get those unique matchups. Aurora Newman, I mean,
you don't see that.
You're
You're
not
never
going to see that. SCOTUS, Adams Central, even though they're C1, I don't recall them ever playing in my recent knowledge of that level of basketball. So it's just, you got Riverside, Clearwater Orchard, BDS, Amherst. I mean, Amherst is maybe as entertaining of a team to watch play.
Goodness.
And so it's just, you look and see whoever, you rely on people. Coach Gavers is out and about recruiting all the time, and so he'll call me on his way home and say, I just saw these guys play, they're going to be good or whatever. And so you just rely on people's opinions and try to put the best matchups you can together.
Well, it's come out really good. Now I'm gonna go over each matchup right at the end of this segment, and this to me might be the best matchup you've had. You've had 8 game cards, which is this year, and then 7 and 6, but I don't remember there being in a card this good. Is it just by golly and by luck, or did you know that this was going to happen if you got these teams to play.
Well, I mean
yeah.
obviously I knew the teams were going to be somewhere in the thick of
Sure.
where they're going to be for their class. I mean, I've had a lot of favorite games and a lot of favorite years.
Boy.
I mean, Coach Gabers might remember a few of his better games, but that Axtell versus Ewing game that one year when they had Austin Kazzer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my all-time favorite games that we've had there. So, depends on a lot of things. Teams have to hold up their end of the bargain, I always say. As far as, staying healthy, which is out of their control.
Oh, I know.
And doing their to come February 13th and still be in the thick of it. And we've been fortunate that has happened more often than not. And it makes for a good day of basketball.
Oh, great. You can't beat it anywhere. And to have it last this many years is incredible. And the example of the staying healthy is that boy from Omaha South not even playing last year, and yet they gave Oak Hill a heck of a ball game, man. It was last year when Oak Hill played. I remember looking up at the scoreboard and seeing Omaha South ahead at the end of the third quarter.
That's kind of great. I mean,
that's amazing.
We go Omaha South where they lose by 5 to Oak Hill.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Aaron and I went out to the Dick's Sporting Goods National Tournament with. You had Oak Hill and Montverde and Benny Prep and Huntington Prep and all these teams, and you're watching them play. And I go watch Coach Gabers games, and the guys they had on the floor were men. I mean, they were.
Oh, I know.
And you think Omaha South stays with them within 5, and then now you're seeing the Bryant kid for Indiana start.
Oh.
You got the kid from Arizona that was at Finley Prep, 3 or 4 players from Oak Hill that are now so.
I always told Coach Cord, he works the event for Tino.
Yeah.
You need to go down to that bench and talk to that 12th man who never gets in and tell him there's a place at Hastings College for him. So,
Well, absolutely.
It is amazing the people that he can bring in, and to get those teams in financially, there's huge risk because you got to spend some money and treat them right, and that's what Tino does. Those teams want to come back because he treats them well.
That's the point I think that some people do not understand about. Why doesn't he bring Scotts Bluff into play, Omaha Scott or something like that? But you have to absolutely know who's going to bring a crowd and who isn't. And you don't know. The best matchup may not be the best. And now you have to be concerned, unlike regular high school basketball, of putting people in the stands, or it doesn't continue.
You definitely have to have.
It's got to be that way.
No, well, one thing is I have really loyal sponsors.
Yep.
So that's where I'm talking about community
absolutely.
sport. Chief Industries, the West Fadley Medical Center. We've had Home Federal 5 Points, the Gary Thompson Agency. All those types of places are what is able to make the event go.
Yeah.
And then you also have to have, not every game has to draw a big crowd, but it has to have some sort of uniqueness to it that people will that want to come and see it. I mean, you've been to the state tournament how many years in a row now, so you understand the atmosphere that we're trying to create
Sure.
there. And so that's kind of it's not necessarily, we've had Shadron in years, and I wasn't really concerned about the crowd they brought, just the type of game that they would create.
That's interesting.
And the people in our area, again, Coach Gabers and I talk about this a lot because the Hastings, the Grand Island, the Kearney, our area of sports enthusiasts is really, really good. And so you see a lot of those people that come and plop their selves in their seats at 9 a.m. for the first game, and they don't leave all day. So I think what makes the event go is those types of people.
I didn't realize that. I did not realize, honest to goodness, until this moment that you actually thought about it that way. Because that's a trusting attitude, Coach. It really is, because you have to know that the people will appreciate what you do. And I always thought, well, if he brings Oak Hill in here and then doesn't do it the next year, they're going to be let down. But it hasn't happened, has it? I mean, there was a gap year, wasn't there, when they first? And I think it's amazing that you can put dream matchups together, and you're almost certain that it's going to draw people like me that's going to enjoy it, or Zach, or my wife, or coaches or whatever. But everything has been a success, hasn't it? I don't remember one that just wasn't. Well, you couldn't keep doing it.
Well, we couldn't keep doing it, but I mean, I mean, we haven't had a flop.
No.
I mean, there's been years where it's been better. Obviously, the first year Oak Hill came, we sold the place out. There's been other years, where we only had 3,000 people in there.
Yeah.
So, but as long as you don't have a year in there where there's 1,200 people, and then all of a sudden, then you got to stop and think, well, is this worth doing again? But again, I just don't think it'll get to that point with, you talk about like Oak Hill coming in. I mean, the thing that really made that possible was the fact that Omaha Central was really good.
Yeah, well, that has to be.
I mean,
yeah.
so getting Oak Hill here is, that's one thing in itself, but would it sell out, or would it be as well attended if it was Oak Hill versus Finley Prep as opposed to Oak Hill versus Omaha South? And so
I don't know.
We've been fortunate in our area that Omaha Central has been good. Now Omaha South is going through their run. Next year we're going to have Papillion come in with their two players that they got. And we got in our area, if you think about our area coach, and you and I probably know this too well because we had to figure out plans again, but St. Cecilia went through that run where they beat Ralston, who had two Division I guys on the same team. We played against Elliot Elias and Jed Bargan. The next year we play against Norfolk Catholic with Brozak and Ewing and
Gretna wasn't all that bad.
And son
either.
Gretna. So
real good. Real good.
So we've been fortunate with the play in our area.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's just a tough thing to know who to bring in, but you would know this. Coach Gavers, how big is the event center game? How big was it to Central Catholic?
That was a huge
I mean, it was always the night after St. Cecilia. How cruel, And it wasn't something that you could probably change, but these kids look forward to playing in that venue.
Bobby, I just now get them over that fact. And
Well,
that's been changed now. They're playing on Thursday, so they got a couple days to get ready.
But it's tough,
It's a great thing because what you're doing is kids have memories of their youth,
Well,
and that's
yeah.
something they always remember, is playing at the event center, being part of an event like that.
Yeah.
Not just necessarily their own game. Obviously, they're going to remember that, but then the kids hang out, watch other
They do.
athletes, talk to other athletes, things like that. I mean, last year, we always have a game. We were at Dakota Wesleyan on Sunday. It just fell that way, and we stayed for the now Dakota Wesleyan's about 5.5 hour trip.
Yep.
For us.
Oh, yeah.
We stayed for the Oak Hill South game because how many times in your life are you going to get to see a team like Oak Hill and play Omaha South?
Yeah.
And so, needless to say, we rolled into coaches only. Players were already there. We rolled into Mitchell, South Dakota at a late hour, but it was worth it. Wouldn't do it any different because it's a great thing. And you talk about him playing and listen to the things he said. Aaron and I got on an airplane, went to New York. They didn't go just to enjoy the tournament. He's trying to make connections with coaches to get future teams here. So those are expenses that are incurred that you have to think about. I know he said he's had conversations with Bobby Hurley about getting Bobby Hurley's team here. So Tino works extremely hard at it and for matchups and all that sort of stuff. And there's a method to the madness about balancing matchups and getting crowds and things like that. But when he does it, he always has the best interest of the teams, the players, the communities, and the fans. And that's a hard job because it takes endless hours, I'm sure. I don't know anything about it because I don't do anything to help him set it up.
I think
but
you're
just
right.
logic tells you that the time you have to spend communicating with people is tremendous.
So, what you've talked about and what you've talked about, do you think that's why your day of basketball is a success and why the other ones didn't make it? Or part of the above or all of the above?
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination of things. Honestly, I've been asked, why don't you do it at the Pinnacle Bank Arena, or why don't you do it? I mean, one is, I know what it costs to do it in our arena here, and I couldn't imagine the cost of doing it like at a CenturyLink or a Pinnacle Bank Arena types. Secondly is, it's still high school basketball. I go to the Dix National Sporting Goods Tournament, and on Thursday and Friday of that week, they have the games at Christ the King High School. Okay,
And that's not
it's
a
about
great-
it's about like what ours does here. So,
I've seen pictures.
So it's still high school basketball.
Yeah.
So you're not going to fill it up with 18,000 people.
No.
Okay, and so you have to be able to economically be responsible as far as can it pay for itself?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have that combination of things, and so I just wanted to really put it in a venue. The Heartland Event Center is a perfect venue for it because size-wise it's perfect. Parking is great.
Oh, it
Okay,
is.
you're never going to have to wait in line to go to the restrooms, to go to the concession stand. You can leave the arena and re-enter, whereas in bigger arenas you're probably going to have to repurchase a ticket. And so I think there's a combination of things that really is all out of my control, but it makes it work for the Heartland Hoops Classic. And we're just fortunate that it's the Heartland Event Center is available to us,
Yeah.
and then also teams have supported this thing.
Oh, I
A
know.
lot of people say, hey, you can't get Omaha to travel. I mean, I have to turn away teams from Omaha
Yeah.
that want in it. And like I said, I've already been in contact with Papillion, who's requested to be in it next year. And we're going to make something work for them because they have a couple marquee players that need to be showcased. And so yeah, I just think, a lot of things have fallen into place, and nothing from what I have done, but more so it's just, I guess pure luck. So,
Tino, I don't believe it.
He's modest.
We don't believe
it's a
that.
lot of what he's done and the work he's put in. So
I think it's tough. I think everybody in this city is proud of it, and I think everybody in the state knows about it. And we get people from all over to come to that thing, and I think that's been a great success. I can't see it unless you decide not to do it, continuing, but if you're available, it's got to be a good day for you because you see some kids that you might be able to talk to, and you don't have to go all over the place. And why not go to Hastings College, fellas? So anyway, I want to go over briefly about this. This is about the Heartland Hoops Classic 2016. So let's go over the games briefly. And Coach Gabers, feel free to add.
all right.
The opener has me intrigued at the 9 a.m. You have 16-1 BDS, who's ranked number 1 for Monday in Class D1, playing against an unbeaten Amherst team, which Coach Martinez alluded to earlier. 16-0 and number 2 in C2, and they're an 8-man football team, but they're in Class C2. They're sandwiched between Winnebago and St. Cecilia. What kind of a matchup is that, Mike? That's incredible. I mean, I don't think these two teams meet on a normal basis. I don't think they're just too far apart in basketball. That's a great matchup.
yeah, what's kind of funny about that is a year ago when we were signing this game, Les Adelon, who is an assistant coach, his boy,
Yeah.
Amherst, he was concerned that, because at that time they were D1.
Yeah.
And he was concerned, the state tournament's right around the corner. You think that's the right thing to do? And I was like, well, I alluded to our game with North Fork Catholic when they were 1, we were 2 in C1.
Oh, man.
And we were fortunate to beat them at the Hoops Classic that day. 2 or 3 weeks later, we could have bumped into each other again.
You could have, yeah.
At the state tournament. So I just thought it was, it was kind of ironic that conversation, because we actually did look in other directions and decided this was the best game. Well,
Oh, my goodness.
in September when the enrollments come out, they end up C2 and it ends up working out for everybody. But I think it's going to be a highly entertaining game. BDS maybe wants to play at a slower pace,
Sure.
a little more physical, and I'm telling you that's going to be hard to do with Amherst because they push the tempo. They like the full court press. They got 5 guys on the floor that can shoot it. And so it's going to be a fun game to watch.
And I had a hard time coming up with names from Amherst because there are 5 guys that are, and of course so is BDS, Christensen, Kleinschmidt, Riley, Techmeyer. Those are names that Techmeyer especially that we're familiar with. And then the second game, Riverside, and of course this is more of our area, is playing Clearwater Orchard. And of course everybody knows about Clearwater Orchard and the Andy Kirkman kid. Riverside right now is 13-2. Well, by the way, Riverside has lost 2 games, BDS has lost 1, and they've all been to the same team, obviously St. Francis. But Riverside is number 3 in D2, yeah. And Clearwater Orchard, unrated, but 10-5. They've had a tough schedule, and don't let 5 losses fool you. But there's another tremendous matchup, teams that just don't meet usually. How about that one? I mean, look at Riverside.
Yeah.
The Velocic, and they're 6-man football champions. One of the best coaches in the state, I think, for a young guy. For Riverside, Joey Imus. So that's another great matchup. Any comments on that one? Just other than the fact that 13-2 and 10-5, pretty good matchup. I mean, how about
Hudson kid's a real good player out of Riverside, and you mentioned Joey. Joey, great high school player, passionate guy about basketball.
Oh gosh.
So you got Kirkman kid. We saw a Kirkman kid play a lot in the summertime. Real good basketball player.
He's going up north to college, I think. Is that right? Okay.
Augustana, is it?
I believe so, yeah. And I mean, he's a good player. So you're talking about 2 good teams with some good players. That it's always interesting. Will guys match up?
Well,
against
that's
one
what
another.
I'm thinking
You know,
about, yeah.
so I don't know. You know, game plans are interesting. You got to do things sometimes to keep certain people out of foul trouble. So,
You put
but,
us.
that'll be a fun game.
Is that might be a game too where I think when we signed that game, Clearwater Orchard might have been D1.
Oh, I think they
And
were, yeah.
They got bumped in enrollment this year to C2. So I think that was we were thinking maybe like a number 1 in D1
Oh,
versus
yeah.
a number 1 in D2 type scenario. But it's going to be a great game.
Oh, I know the 5 losses, just forget about that because Kirkman is,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
that's a great basketball team. And then the third game, which is, that's a 10:45, by the way. So we've
I
got,
think Bobby Clearwater Orchard is coached by Shelley Malarnick.
that's right. How about that?
She's,
How about that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think John Miller's wife could probably coach this coach.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
We're up,
Yeah.
down.
Definitely play. We all do that.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, oh, but that is a great thing, yeah, that's it, if you think yeah, watch your coach when you're at the
good,
game, yeah. That's the 10:45 matchup, then a half hour after the noon hour, I didn't think you'd get Winnebago to come down, and you're getting Winnebago was coming down to play in Grand Island, and of course everybody knows about David Winchett. They're 19-0, that seems like something back in the Bill Gavers days, where you guys went all over, man. And Gothenburg 13-4. You guys played them last year to get to state. Another great matchup. I didn't think Winnebago would come down, but they did. How about
Yeah,
that?
they're excited. I've had a lot of conversations with their AD. In fact, we're really working on something special for them next year.
Great.
Winjet will be a senior next
Yep.
year. But no, the only thing really that Gothenburg's missing from a year ago is Tanner Borkhardt.
Yep.
And everything else is back. Dawson Graham is a tremendous player at
Oh,
the guard
boy.
position. They got the Clement kid that's 6'7",
6'7".
in the middle. They got some other size too. Some other guards. They got 4 losses. A lot of those are the upper
They are.
classes. But I mean, I really think that'll be a good game. Obviously, Gothenburg's going to have a plan to slow Winget up. I don't even know if that's possible. I mean,
Didn't he have 50 the other
he had
night?
50 the other
against
night.
Laurel Concord, yeah. And Laurel Concord only had 3 or 4 losses
Laurel
themselves.
Concord's good, yeah.
Yeah, Coleridge. So, and
But I mean, I think for the people that have not seen the kid play in person, I mean, he is a special talent. And
6'7", by the way. I always thought he was 6'3" or 4, but the kid is 6'7", so.
I think he grew a couple inches since last
I think he-
state tournament, what people are saying.
I
Have you
think
seen him
he-
live this year, Coach?
I have not.
The only thing is he can't jump. But anyway, yeah, there'll be people, honest to goodness, that may have the intention of just coming down. They'll probably stay all day, but just to watch Winnebago.
I
because
talked
it's
to
such a-
Omaha South AD Dennis Mitchell the other day, and he wanted to know if his courtside seat was good for all day because he wants to come early and watch the Winjet kid play. So,
There you go.
he's just causing a lot of attention around, a lot of buzz around the high school basketball scene right now.
That's for sure. And it's kind of an unknown thing because, sometimes they play, well, they're not, they play smaller schools and you just don't hear about it. But and then next on tap is a 2:15 matchup. You guys here at GICC play Seward, a team that just upset York, or maybe it wasn't an upset, to get to the semifinals of the Central Conference Tournament. That's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah,
I mean, you played York already,
Right,
so
right.
my goodness.
No, I think it's Seward's been wanting to get in for a couple of years, and Mark is such a good guy that
Oh,
we try to make
absolutely.
something work out for him. And obviously Central Catholic is probably always going to be in it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, yeah.
So
Plus, this guy's coaching in it and puts it together. Gee, many Christmas.
He's got a really good wife that helps him out.
Yeah, I think he
so.
does. Well, she's a sweetheart, I guarantee you.
So no, this should be a good game. I mean, they got a lot of size, and they got
Slope.
the all-time leading scorer at Seward High School, Slope.
Yeah,
so,
Reverend Slow.
so it's going to be obviously a big challenge for us, and I think it is. Given there's 2 teams aren't highly rated or anything like that, maybe like we're used to being, but
Competitive, though.
but I think it'll be a very competitive game, and it definitely won't ruin the days at all.
Well, score-wise, it could end up being the best game of the day. It really could. You might see it like a 5 overtime game. But after that,
5-5 going into the fifth overtime.
No. 4 o'clock game is Columbus SCOTUS, and of course they're number 2 in Class C1, taking on Adams Central, who's right behind in number 3, and I think 15-0 and 13-2. That, to me, that's a big game for Adams Central because they've got to know whether they can compete with SCOTUS and Newman, and they don't play them. They're the furthest thing away, so that's going to be a great matchup. And we matched up SCOTUS last year with
Elkhorn South.
Elkhorn South. They found out a little bit about themselves that day too. That's a great matchup. Mirachik and Dalton Taylor, Friscotis, and of course David Bolt, and the Plite kid who I mispronounced Pleat, of course, and then Garrett Sittner. And then St. Cecilia and Sydney. Did St. Cecilia have any reservations, did Coach Asher over there, about going up to Class B? They beat Ralston that one time, so that's going to be a heck of a matchup. And if you don't think Sydney's won't bring people, think again. Because you saw them at the state tournament, they just roared the entire way through.
Yeah.
Of course, when your team gets into the final, but still, that's a great matchup.
Yeah, Coach Asher, he's easy to work with.
Oh, yeah. The old O'Neill St. Mary's Flash.
Yeah, he'll play him. I mean, Coach Gavers knows this, not a lot of people do, but the one matchup I was really trying to sign was Omaha South St. Cecilia. And, maybe it worked out for the best for everybody. But no, Coach Asher, I mean, like you mentioned, he's played Ralston, he's played a number of teams in that classic
Well, the Jamboree game, they beat somebody pretty good this year in that.
Yeah, they know how to compete. They wouldn't be afraid to play anybody, just knowing Kevin and talking to him. They're very competitive kids and program.
On that to Adams Central, Coach, have you ever, I don't ever remember them playing this guy Columbus Scotus.
No, I really
Football's
don't believe they have played.
Yeah.
And so that's a good matchup.
And then that's at 5:45, and then the 7:30 matchup, the one right before the big game, is a pretty big game. That's the one I'm waiting for. Wahoo Bishop Newman, 14-0 against Class B Aurora, 15-1. I don't know how you could get any better than that. I mean, that is a great matchup.
I mean, Aurora's, the Allen kid's really good.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy Leininger, you got a Penner, can really shoot the ball, and Newman speaks for themselves. I mean, they are just a great program. I mean, just consistently win year in, year out. And, we were in Omaha playing Tuesday night, and one of the officials said, Newman's as good a team as there is in the state. I mean, they really got a good team. So that's high praise because the officials work a lot of teams, a lot of games.
Got pretty good officials too. So
yeah, so
they know. And then that marquee matchup, and I don't know a lot about Overland High School from Aurora, Colorado, except Mr. Davis. Is it Deron Davis? Is that what
Deron, I think, is how he.
Yeah, they're number one out there, I think.
Yeah.
The last I checked,
Yeah.
they're 12-3, but I don't think you're going to be number one in Colorado. They travel. They travel out of state. 12-3, and of course, Omaha South's unbeaten right now at number one, and 16-0 in overall and in Class A both. Boy, talk about this kid. I mean, this Davis kid, is 6'10", power forward, I think he's listed.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, Arkansas, you name it, they recruited this kid. He's going to Indiana.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen game
Did
film.
you see him? You haven't
I've
seen
seen him
him
in person.
live?
I've seen him game film. I mean, he's the real deal. I mean, he's a power forward. He's a true double guy on as far as points in the paint, rebounds, and he's 6'10", and he's I think you got a list on your notes there is power forward going to Indiana. So recruited by a number of Big Ten schools.
Oh, good grief. UConn,
yeah, I mean, it's so he's going to be a treat to watch. But yeah, they're number one. They play in some national type events, and so they have absorbed some losses. But they returned 4 or 5 starters back from last year's state championship team, and I think they'll be. They got a tough travel schedule because we normally like to get people here Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yeah.
They got to play Friday night, so they're going to load the charter bus, and they won't get to Grand Island until about 3 in the morning.
Wow.
So,
Did you hear that, Mr. Chubbuck?
Their travel schedule is a little more difficult than what I like for our teams coming in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a story about Coach Chubbuck. We were recruiting in Omaha January 8th this year, and we went to Big Fred's before we headed on to Sioux City.
Everybody goes to Big Fred's.
Yeah, Big Fred's. You bet. Ran into Coach Chubbuck and his wife at Big Fred's and just was talking to him. And he said, Billy, we're going to get after people. We're going to get in people's face. We're going to guard, and boy, can they guard. I mean, they are just so incredibly athletic and well-schooled. He's an old-school guy that's a believer in discipline and toughness and hard work. In our conversation, he must have mentioned toughness 3 times. And so I know that
if you don't know it.
Yeah, and then of course, his son was a great player at Nebraska and helps him coach. So they'll be, with this kid at 6'10", and obviously, if you're going to Indiana, obviously you can play. He'll game plan for that. It'll be interesting to see strategically, what that game plan is. And then of course you got a rope. who's really, really good. And the South kids they play incredibly hard on every possession. So
man.
it's fun basketball. That's a tremendous game for people to see.
And another kid I want to mention from this Overland High School is Elijah Halliburton. He is an all-state football player that's going to go out and play with a kid from Central Catholic next year at Wyoming. How about that? He got a full ride as a free safety. Pretty good basketball player too. But last question for either one of you: do you think, Tino, when you brought in Oak Hill, do you think that they expected to see the kind of defense that Omaha Central or Omaha South? They looked like they were in a bit of a shock at how well these teams defend.
Well, kind of funny you asked. I was just actually thinking about that when last year when we went to the Dick's tournament, I spent time with Oak Hill and their staff and stuff, and that was the one thing they said about Coach Chubbuck here's the deal with Oak Hill. Okay, last year on that Thursday night, they played the number 16 team in the country, okay, and beat them by 43 points. Okay, they drive to the airport, middle of the morning, get up, they fly back to Grand Island. So, I'm not making an excuse, but they were tired.
No, I'm sure.
So, and then the year Omaha Central, they beat them. Talking to Coach Smith the day before the game, he knew Omaha Central was the they'd seen McCoy play in that team tournament in Florida. They knew that Kevin Scott was as good a guard they were going to play, regardless of whether it was an academy school or not. And so, coaches know. I mean, you can watch, and so they knew they were in for a dogfight. And then he just had unbelievable things to say about Coach Chubbuck and his game prep last year, because that was a game that maybe should have got away from Omaha South, and because of Bruce Chubbuck, he sold it to his players, and he had ready to go, and so I think, not to get off the subject of your question, but I mean it's just kind of neat how that goes, but I think Oak Hill and that's why they want to come back. They gained a lot of respect, for Coach Barons and what he had going there. They really hit it off with Coach Chubbuck a year ago, and so it's just we've just been fortunate again that we've had teams like Omaha South and Omaha Central that year we went to Mont Christian. Was that who it was? Mont Christian. Mont Verde.
Yeah.
And they played Omaha. I mean, that was a 30 or 40 point game.
Yeah.
And so, we've been fortunate that the games here have been tight.
Yeah.
And Omaha Central actually beat them that year. So, I mean, we've just been lucky.
And even last year, and during that Central game, you could see the Nebraska pride heartbeat in everybody in the crowd.
Oh, the electricity in the place.
They respected Oak Hill, but they wanted every basket that Omaha South or Omaha Central made, it was Nebraska pride. We can play out here. So lastly, tell us about the ticket prices and where you can purchase tickets to this magnificent.
Well, if you're in the area, the easiest thing to do is go out to the event center and just purchase it in person there, and then you can avoid some of the Ticketmaster stuff. But if you're not from around here and you want to secure a ticket ahead of time, Ticketmaster.com is the easiest place. Or it's an event where you can get them walk up at the door and make sure you can get them at the door. I don't want people to think that if you don't have a ticket in advance that you can't get in.
Oh, absolutely.
The ticket office is open all day on the day of, and you'll be able to buy a ticket. We do have courtside seats. A few of those remaining for purchase. If you did want a courtside seat, I'd get that in advance.
Yeah.
And then student tickets are $8. And I think the best part about the tickets it's good for the whole day.
And every game.
Yeah. So if you want to leave and enter for a game later, you don't have to repurchase a ticket. It's pretty fan friendly. So
well, you're never going to find another event like this where you get the bang for your buck like this one. And there are people that come at 9 o'clock and do not leave until the end of it. So we want everybody to come out to this, not only for the matchup at the end, but for every game. All 8 of them are great matchups. In my estimation, the best it's ever been. So come out. That's February 13th, and it's not that far off. And you can see these teams, and after that, the state tournament isn't that far off, so you can get a little preview who's good from one end of the state to the other. So, Tino, I want to thank you for doing this, for putting this on, and thank you for being here. Coach Gavers, thanks for adding. And once again, February 13th, and that's, a couple weeks away, right? So get your tickets right now, and as Tino said, you can get them at the gate or whatever. And we hope to see you there. Heartland Hoops Classic. And thanks once again for being here. This is Bobby Mills from theindependent.com, online in the hoops. Zach Mayhew. We'll see you next time.